Thank you for joining us once again on Going Beyond. Leeza Harris is my guest here today. Now, Leeza, you wear many hats. It's not just event management. You also do a lot of personal appearances. Is it mainly confined to when you're doing the event itself?
Yes and no. Nearly 90% of my events are also emceed by me, and the others are when I'm called in just to handle that aspect of things.
Right. It's a little difficult though, isn't it, to be actually involved with, managing the event and actually controlling the event by being the MC. How do you cope with those two things in parallel?
I find that it takes a lot of planning, because you need precision in order to be able to stand at the podium instead of being at the console, calling the shots. But that's where a good team comes into place, because it's not just about me, but the entire team and the coordination between us that makes that possible.
Right. So you recently returned to India, and then you have your Chrysalis webpage going. So let me hear what else you use your Chrysalis webpage for. I mean, apart from making it known what you're doing, what else do you do on your webpage? I haven't opened it, so I confess that.
Okay, I've got an active social media campaign going, especially because we've just launched the Chrysalis Studio webpage.
Okay.
And we have a contest, in fact.
A contest?
Yes.
Okay.
Open to those from 16 years and above, and with submissions due in by the 31st of May. Acrylics on canvas, and the theme is breaking free.
Okay. Now, you are very interested in art, and you're a very good painter, I know that. So where is the time, Leeza Harris, for so many different things? I can't imagine, my mind boggles.
The great thing about the job I do is that I get to use my God-given talents.
Indeed, and plenty of those.
God has been kind. And I find that that's what makes my job an absolute pleasure. If I had to choose yet again, it would be this and nothing else.
Right. Do you believe, Leeza, that when you work the way you are, working for yourself and from your home, do you think it calls for a lot of self-discipline? I often admire people who can do that successfully.
Yes, you need to be disciplined. You have to have a schedule. You have to respect time. Time management is critical.
What would you think is the most important ingredients for success for an event manager?
Well, to be very, very clear when you communicate to the client and your team. Clarity is vital. Secondly, you need to know what you're doing. And if you don't know what you're doing, be honest enough to say that I'd have to find out and get back to you, than to give the client an impression that you know it when you don't, because that could lead to a real disaster.
In your experience, Leeza, do you find that clients come up with a lot of ideas to you that you either shoot down or you encourage, or do you find that it's more of your ideas that are put in there? How important is it for you to be actually working hand in hand with a client?
When I have my first meeting with a client, which to me is very the crucial meeting.
Important, yes.
Very important. Because at that moment, apart from gleaning all the information that I need to understand what their requirement is, I also have to hear their ideas, their concepts. Some of them have probably gone onto the internet, looked up things, or checked Pinterest. I mean, Pinterest is a constant source for most people. However, I don't rely on what's out there on the internet or Pinterest, because I like to conceptualize things that are original, and that's the difference. And I don't need to give it out to someone else to say, create a stage design or create a floral arrangement style and give it to me so I can give it to my client, because I do it myself.
Right. Do you find that these days people are more interested in a very Western kind of entire event, or do you find that you have to have a fusion of Indian and Western? What do you think is the current trend, and in what direction are the trends now?
Well, cultural diversity, as it were, is all over. And there was a time when everything happened as per a particular style or a particular mode. But now there is an overlap. But then again, it depends on the outlook of the client. Sometimes I have done a very traditional Indian ceremony where they would have said, no, but we want to have a cutting of the cake as well. But the way in which the cake's brought in and how it is decorated would have to be incorporated with the rest of the set design, so it doesn't stand out as a sore thumb. So we are able to do that by integrating these elements and staying true to the theme.
I would imagine that you need to pay a lot of attention to the little details which sometimes we in India are most lacking.
Sometimes people would be like, it's okay. And I'm like, no, it's not okay. Everything matters, from the tiniest thing, from the selection of your linen, the kind of napkins we use, the color scheme of the flowers, even the type of flowers. For instance, I do not work with roses or gerbera daisies.
Why?
Because, for one, I have a personal favorite, orchids, yes. But the fact that the kind of designs you could get with other flowers like bird of paradise or anthuriums, you can't get with roses and gerbera. Secondly, they wilt ever so quickly in our weather. So they're not my preferred option.
Right. It's a practical point you brought up there. But if I, as a client, love roses, then what is Leeza Harris going to do? Are you going to try to make me change my mind? Or are you going to try to maybe accommodate what I'm asking for?
So what I would do is I would say, that's great if you like roses, but I will also make it a point to point out to you what would be the issues we'd have to deal with because of the weather, and also indicate that while we would take whatever steps are required, for example, using florist foam, which has already been soaked in water to ensure that there's enough moisture for the flowers. But I would then definitely try to tell you, would you be open to having other flowers used along with the roses?
Okay.
And if you agree to that, then yes.
Right. You're obviously very successful in what you do, Leeza. A final question now. And going forward, what do you think you'd be doing 5 years from today? Do you think you'd still be carrying on with event management, doing something differently?
No, I would definitely be carrying on with event management, but hopefully I would have an art studio up and running as well. That's what I foresee.
That's great, Leeza.
Yes.
I want to thank you. Thank you so much indeed for being here.
My pleasure.
It's been an absolute delight. And as I said in the beginning, one sparkling guest. Thank you very much.
You.
Well, it's been great that you could join us here on Going Beyond. It's been wonderful for us to have you join us on this program. And don't forget to keep watching us every single weekend. Until the next time, take care. Bye for now.
Going Beyond, brought to you by IBHAR, empowering achievement.